My character represented someone who knows their identity and knows that they're a carrier of the light of God, a carrier of the purpose of God and the power of God and the freedom of God. And I, along with 4 other dancers, we have a moment where we share this recognized call and responsibility to not only carry the light, but to invite others on that journey. And I think my favorite moment is when we're ascending to the top of the hill, and we look and we see the skyline, and we go into it, and it just, to me, it represents just the responsibility and the joy in that call to not just know and experience the presence of God for ourselves, but to invite other people into it, into that encounter, into that call, and it's it just goes on after that. Oh, we're talking about how we see ourselves in the story. And I remember when I just graduated from college and how my professors had told me, you should pursue this type of dance, this type of work. And it wasn't even what I was passionate about. It was just because I looked a certain part. And I think as a believer, as someone who follows Jesus, one of the greatest gifts that he gives you is discovering who he is, and then he tells you who you are. And I think it took me a long time to receive that in my dance, to ask him and to be willing and open to what he might say that I am in my dance, not just as, oh, you're this type of dancer, but this is your purpose in dance. This is your anointing in dance. This is your holy calling in dance. And that changed everything for me. I went from being a disintegrated person who kept my faith in certain parts of my life to being a person who's totally integrated, where my spirit and my dance and my life all came together under the identity of who God is and who he says I am. And so I think this video just so perfectly captures that journey of going from I gotta just make it happen for myself, to complete surrender and the joy in that surrender of a life lived in the power and the love of God, and then the life of sharing that with others. It makes me think of the story of Samuel in the Bible. He's this kid, and he hears the voice of God in his sleep, and he hears his name being called, Samuel, Samuel. And Samuel thinks it's someone calling him, and he goes looking, he's like, who's calling my name? And then a wise person tells him, oh, that's the voice of God, that's the voice of his spirit calling to you. And I think if you're watching this video and you feel like, that's me, something's calling to me, I'd say recognize that the possibility that it may just be the Spirit of God calling you. And I'd say, here I am. I would encourage whoever's watching to say, who do you say that I am? And to expect an answer, because he will. Come back home, that's it. It's so good. I'm excited for this story to be presented to the world because it's such a common story. It's the story of so many dancers, and I was one of them. I know that there's so many more, and I think to see it played out and to see that you're not stuck with what the world offers you. It's this video, this film is an invitation into something more. So I think I'm just excited to see how people respond to it, because I think it's going to be a direct invitation to dancers everywhere.